but snow and flooding have really taken the spotlight in central Ohio. I don't know about you, but we actually had more or less a real winter this year. I've shoveled the snow quite a few times this year, and we've already had 70+ degree days too, and we're not in really just getting into the springtime. So let me share some weather stats with you that I got from the Weather Service this past Saturday. The Weather Service invites the section people to their office twice a year in the spring and in the fall, and we hear about new procedures, policies, things like that, any changes in how they want information sent to them. So, but they also share some interesting information about the weather that's happened. How do people feel about snow? Let's say in December. Did you guys get a lot of snow up here?
Very little. We haven't seen 2 inches of snow at least where I'm at, the whole winter.
Really?
We've so far this year I've had over 6 inches of water at my place.
Okay.
Rain.
Okay. So these are all of these stats. The closest place that they track this. They do this in Columbus and Dayton and Cincinnati. Those are the 3 places that. So you're pretty close to Columbus. But in December, 8.1 inches of snow were recorded this year, and that's 3.1 inches above normal. January was 10.5 inches of snow, and that's 1.3 inches above normal. And in February, 6 inches of snow, and that was 0.2 of an inch below normal. Temperature-wise, December, the normal is 31.2 degrees, but that was 2.3 degrees below normal. January was similar. It was 27.3 degrees as the normal temperature. Again, 2.3 degrees below normal. And in February, it jumped up to 38 degrees as the normal, with 5.5 degrees above normal. So that's kind of where the weather ended up. So let's do a little short survey, and I think I'm going to know pretty much most of these answers. How many people have been trained by the National Weather Service in storm spotting? Good. That's very good. Very good.
And we have another one coming up April 11th here.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. How many here have both a smartphone and a Twitter account? Okay, that's good. That's good. How many have smartphones, a Twitter account, are trained in weather spotting, or are licensed as an amateur radio operator? So I know all of you are amateur radio operators. So smartphones, Twitter account, and trained spotters. Okay. So that's good. So you're going to hear the term SKYWARN. You're going to hear COSWN. You're going to hear the words me and we and us. But I'm really talking about all of us, because it takes a team effort to be successful in saving lives. And actually, when the Weather Service puts out any type of warning, whether it's flood or thunderstorm or tornado, that is considered emergency traffic on the radio. So you don't want anybody to interfere with that kind of traffic. So there's my little thing here. So we're going to talk about a scenario up here. And this really does happen. This actually is the area that Franklin County, or the Central Ohio Severe Weather Network, is responsible for. And it's kind of hard to tell. There's 3 red boxes here that are tornado warnings, and then there's also a severe thunderstorm warning down here. So why is this an issue? And how do we get information from these situations to the Weather Service down in Wilmington, Ohio? And then when you have something to report out of this, how do you know what's a priority? What does the Weather Service really want to hear about? And then how can we get that information to them? So this is what we're going to kind of talk about. We're going to talk about the mission and the goal that the SKYWARN program has, and more specifically what COSWN does, how SKYWARN is organized, why COSWN exists, how we can help them. We're going to talk about the technology gap. Does anybody have any idea what this is about? And this really answers why the Weather Service needs ham radio operators. So there's a
because technology has limitations and can't tell us really exactly what's happening.
Yeah, the radar has a limitation on what it can see at ground level.
There you go. There you go. Does anybody have any idea where the radar beam sits over Union County?
Roughly, yeah.
So the Weather Service is about 60 miles away, and the lowest elevation is a half a degree from where they're at. By the time it gets to Marysville, it's sitting at about 4,500 feet. They see nothing below 4,500 feet, which is the gap, the technology gap. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then what we do there at the office when there's warnings or watches and all that stuff, we'll talk about radio nets, public safety, social media. We do a little bit of social media, and then what to report, and then how to support COSWN or any group that does this. So this is our mission. We support the Weather Service, and we've kind of expanded that. Public safety agencies in the area as well. We are the National Weather Service SKYWARN network, and if you guys have your own net up here, that's fine too. You're part of the group. So, but basically, we provide ground truth information to the Weather Service so that they can provide accurate and timely warning information for the general public. So this is how we're organized. Wilmington is way down here, Franklin County is here, and Union County is up here. So we're like, I think we're like 57 miles. Columbus is like 57 miles from Wilmington, and Marysville is about 60 miles. So this is what we're responsible for. And the way the Weather Service wanted this organized this way so that traffic to them can be prioritized. And they don't have people to answer phones down there. They really don't. They'll give you a phone number. When you do the training up here, you'll get a phone number to call them. But you better hope that not other people aren't calling them as well, because you're going to get a busy signal. Or you'll get one of those press 2 for this and 3 for this and that kind of thing. So, and of course, the Weather Service also handled this left of this line. This is all Indiana, and then down here is Kentucky. So they have a 3-state area that they work. And there's about 6.2 million people. That's probably that may have changed. That was like a 10-year ago figure that was used. So when we slip down into Franklin County, there's all the counties that we support, and we actually have a direct UHF radio link down to Clinton County. So we'll take spotter reports from the various counties, prioritize them, and then pass them down to Clinton County. We have a group in Licking County. They run their own net, and then they have a liaison that they talk to us with. And I guess you guys might you might do that up here as well. I'm not sure how you organize to do that. And Fayette County is another one that often sets up their own net, and that really works well for us.
I think it's that Shelby County's got a big thing set up too, I think.
Yeah, they're in. I think they're in the Dayton area. They're
Right.
run out of the Dayton
Right.
area. Yes. And if you have a question, please just ask it. We'll stop and answer those questions. So this is what we do. Someone or several people usually are monitoring all the weather forecasts for severe weather. The Storm Prediction Center sends out information. I think they're up to 5 day. They try to predict things as far as 5 days ahead. Generally, they're really good at 3 days or less. Sometimes they do very well at 5 days. But we watch that stuff. We all of us have messages sent to our phones or email with any sort of potential for severe weather. The Weather Forecast Office in Wilmington puts out a hazardous weather outlook in the morning, usually around 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And that thing will tell you if they're expecting severe weather that day. There'll actually be a phrase in there, spotter activation may be required this evening or this afternoon, and they'll put those words in there. That really tells you, when you see that there's a very good potential that the Storm Prediction Center is going to put a watch box around the area. And they'll call ham radio operators in to their office, and then we'll talk with them. So we run amateur radio nets, either the readiness net that we do Tuesdays, or a severe weather net. We also interact with public safety agencies. So if we have in Franklin County specifically, we have a talk group on their 800 radio system, and the police and fire have that talk group on their radio. So if they're out there seeing something, they can ask us. They can tell us what's going on. Some of them are trained, some of them aren't, but we can ask them and have them describe what they're seeing. It's very good to have them, because a lot of weather happens overnight when a lot of people are sleeping. Try to find somebody when a warning gets put out at 1 in the morning to tell you what's going on. So that's one of the reasons we've engaged those folks. Also, they sometimes use this for, if they have a fire that's going to go on for 10 or 12 hours, they may want some information about what the weather's going to do. So they'll call us about that. We also monitor social media. We have a Twitter dashboard that we watch, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, where you can actually, if you see something up here, you don't have a radio with you, but you got your smartphone, you can access that Twitter account and tell us what you're seeing. And then if we have questions, we can send something back to you. So we try to attend weather spotting sessions with the Weather Service, in case there are questions that people might have. And then this year we're hosting the Advanced Weather Spotter Training out at Mount Carmel Hospital East at a facility that they have.
Is it on the 11th, you said?
Huh?
Is that April 11th?
That's here.
That's the basic class is going to be here April 11th. The advanced class is I want to say it's on the slide later on, so
Okay,
we'll see that. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. So this is the office we used to have at Port Columbus. These consoles actually came from Lockbourne or Rickenbacker Air Base, and they were used in the SAC command. So they were going to throw them out, and we had a ham that worked down there, and he called us up and said, "Hey, got some consoles for you. If you want to use them, come get them." So we did. We put radios in them, and they worked very well. When they tore the building down, those stayed there because parts were getting hard to find. So we just took out some parts that we might need, but we left those consoles pretty much there. So this is Bo. He's the guy that really put this presentation together. So you guys are really guinea pigs because nobody's ever seen this particular version of the presentation at all. Back here is some of the radar information that we get. It's actually the same stuff that the Weather Service sees.
Is that different than what I can get at weather.gov/ILN?
No, it's virtually the same thing. Yeah.
Which, by the way, has been down all day.
Yes,
'Cause we've been watching.
They're doing
Cleveland.
the second upgrade to the weather equipment.
Okay.
They did the first one they did, I think, was mechanical. This is electronics. They're doing
Okay.
electronics.
Yeah, my wife was complaining that she had to watch Cleveland all day. So
Yeah. The new transmitter and all kinds of stuff, receiver, all kinds of stuff they're doing. So, but what's nice about this is this software will identify storm cells by a letter and a number, and we can get it. There's a table that comes out. So if somebody has something that they're interested in, they can just give us their location. We can find the cell number, and we can talk to the Weather Service. And they have the same cell number down there, so it makes it very nice to work with. Same old thing. Okay, so this is actually down at the Wilmington office. This is the ham location they have down there. And right outside, this is the operational area that the Weather Service has. So when something comes in here, these guys are really, a lot of times they're listening for things. They may be watching something, and they hear something come over the air from the ham radio, and they'll instantly issue a warning or something if they've been curious about something that was going on.
Is that manned as needed, or is it always manned?
It's always manned. Now what they'll do is if they're expecting severe weather, they'll bring in a bunch of people. There can be 8 or 10 people or more in that area. I got another picture here. If needed. This guy takes care of all the NOAA weather radios. And then there's a guy here, there's a person up here, there's a person up here, there's a person up here. This is the kind of the control. This is the person that watches all of the Weather Service folks. This is where the coordinator sits. And so they can staff this thing. Like Saturday was really good weather, and there was like 2 or 3 people, maybe 3 people in there on Saturday when I was down there. They watch the Weather Channel occasionally, but on a Saturday they usually have a football game or a basketball game on, or something. One of those big screens.
Important stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Perks of the job.
Hypothetically, right?
So again, we do the readiness tests or the severe weather nets there. On the readiness tests, we run those when severe weather is not present or threatening anywhere in our area. It's like I don't know if you guys do siren tests up here or not.
Oh, yeah.
They generally won't run the sirens if severe weather is expected.
Right.
Most places, right? So that readiness test allows spotters an opportunity to test their equipment. They can ask questions, communicate expectations, and upcoming events. We also do some training, short training. We had some problems with rainfall. People were calling in rainfall amounts, and that was an issue. So we put a little training thing together about how to accurately relay rainfall to us so that we can pass it on to the Weather Service. So we have like two schedules. We have an off-season schedule, which is this monthly on the third Tuesday, September through March, and then we have weeklies that begin mid-March through mid-September. And this is the main repeater system that we use. It's located on a very tall building in downtown Columbus, and it's got receive sites. There's one in Logan County up here, but there's like eight. I think there's like 8 receive sites located in counties around Franklin County. So it works pretty well.
Marysville, Ohio. Tone access is 127.
So it's good to hear you guys talking about you're going to move a repeater system or something here pretty soon. Yeah. So severe weather nets. Anytime the Weather Service issues a severe thunderstorm warning, tornado warning, or if somebody calls us and says, "Hey, we've got severe weather up here," and you can do that by depressing touchtone 5 on your keypad on that frequency. If you hold that down for like 5 seconds, that will set off a pager system on the repeater, and all of our guys have voice pagers, and they'll say weather alert. We'll come on the air and ask you what you got.
Okay, that's on the 7.6 machine?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I love this clicker, man. It just does its own thing.
Yeah.
It's got its own mind.
Yeah.
And that's direct whether a weather net is up or not.
What?
Is that whether a weather net is up or not, regardless?
Yes. We just ask that if you do that, please hang around until somebody talks to you. Okay. And then we can actually if you're able to talk on the repeater, we can even patch you through the Weather Service so you can talk to them directly. Sometimes there's a big public service event, public event going on, like Red, White, and Boom, or some huge event. Sometimes weather comes in, so we'll be on standby for some of those things as well. We do directed nets, as everybody's aware, and we prioritize by severity of the weather condition, and whether the Weather Service wants that information.
Yeah. And does the reset tone change? It used to change?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
It does. Becomes a W.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
See, what I've done, I live about 15 miles north of here, and I have a weather radio with SAME on it.
Okay.
And when that goes off at 3 in the morning, I will sometimes just go over to the shack, put it on 7.6 and listen.
Yeah.
And I have a few times that anybody in Northern Union County come back,
Yeah. Good. That's good. That's great. Now, can you get into the repeater system okay?
Oh yeah, I can cover any of the surrounding counties from my location.
Great. That's great. So we communicate any warnings, watches, and the Weather Service, once they issue a warning, they produce statements. Like about every 10 minutes, they'll produce a statement. They'll tell you where the cell was here and now it's moved to here, and they'll give you maybe additional cities that are in the path or whatever. So those severe weather statements will come out as well. We listen for observations that the spotters tell us about, damage reports, and of course any deaths or any life issues that happen during severe weather. So one of the big things, a lot of people, especially new hams, they have this license and they have to use that radio. Have to use that radio. And there's no severe weather out there. They'll call us and say, "Hey, it's raining." Well, how much rain are you? Well, my wipers haven't wiped for 5 minutes, so it's barely sprinkling now. We call those sunshine reports. We really, they take up airtime, and we try to be nice when we get those reports, but we'll suggest that they go look at what severe weather criteria is, or we'll actually repeat that on the air, what severe weather criteria is.
Or take a class. Yeah.
Right, we'll take a class. So the big thing is, does it meet severe criteria? And then before you talk, just know what you're going to say. You give your call sign, we'll acknowledge you, and you say, I have discovered a healthy tree limb that's 6 inches in diameter has been fallen from a tree. I mean, that's a good report. The weather service likes those things because they build up a storm history with that storm, so that information gets passed along to the next weather office that's going to take over the storm as it moves through the area. The other thing we want to keep the air clear for is if somebody has an emergency to report. Lightning could have taken somebody. We had a fireman a few years ago that was at the soccer game and was out in the parking lot walking to his car, and he got struck by lightning. And that was an issue where we needed to talk to somebody, and we don't want people talking on the air when people have emergencies like that. So in the public safety area, all the law enforcement and fire rescue folks and dispatch centers and emergency management agencies in Franklin County, and I can only speak to Franklin County, and you guys will know how your county's set up here, have ways to talk to us via their radio system. And then we also monitor the Marks radio system, and there's a CAD system that we monitor as well, which tells us where fire and police have been dispatched. So we get a lot of information.
Do you know what Mark's channel that you monitor?
So it's most of the fire departments that are in our area. A lot of those are on the Marks system. They're not part of the Franklin County 800 system, although they're partners between the Franklin County and City of Columbus with Marks. There are partnerships there, but most of the ones that we monitor are on the Franklin County system or are on the Marks system, but they're located in our area. So
okay, you don't have a specific Marks frequency that you use.
We could if we needed to. Our talk group is on a couple of towers outside of Franklin County, but those have to be requested by the county to get those talk groups assigned outside. So
You said the 800 radio a while ago. Is that not the Marks?
So yeah, they're compatible. Columbus has two 800 systems. There was a Franklin County system and there was a City of Columbus system. And they used to have public safety, police and fire were all on the Columbus system and everybody else was on the Franklin County system. And when they did the rebanding and the upgrade of the 800 system, they kind of reshuffled things and wanted to balance those two systems out. So with the partnership that's available between counties and cities and Ohio Marks, what they have to do is share facilities, tower space and things like that. So most agencies are part of that partnership. So it makes it pretty easy to move talk groups around and things like that. So here's the social media thing, and I think I have some of these cards here today with me. That is a QR code over there, and if you scan that on your phone and you have the software, it'll take you to our Twitter account, and it actually gives you if you have an account, you log in, and then you can actually put information in about what you're seeing and those kind of things, and it'll show up on our screen. And if we have questions, we'll send a message back to you and ask for additional information. This is actually an older. This is actually an older copy. This new card has. You guys want this? Give one to everybody. We have a Facebook page too, but that's something that's kind of a one-way thing. We'll typically use the Facebook page for we'll use the Facebook page for things that we have a little bit more lead time on, like winter storm warnings, things like that, or if the Storm Prediction Center knows that something's going to happen 36 hours from now. We'll use the Facebook page to put things out with that.
Did you use is it Zello at all?
So we've played around with that. What we have to do is we want to be sure that people that are using that have been trained. We've had some bad experiences with Zello. In fact, the Weather Service has gotten some information from some spotters who were actually taking photographs of damage that had occurred somewhere else and saying, "Oh, that happened here," and they sent them to the weather office. And the people that did that are in big trouble because they know exactly where that came from on the internet. So, but that's happened as well. So, but Zello is I've used it before. It works pretty nice. It's nice. It's like the original, this Sprint or whatever with the push to talk thing. It works really well. It really does. So, okay. And this is stuff you're going to hear all this stuff when you do the training. But tornadoes, funnel clouds, wall clouds. Wall clouds are really important because that's where the funnel clouds come from. And then, of course, the tornadoes where you have a funnel cloud that touches the ground. But wall clouds, we want to know when you're looking at it, which way is it rotating? Are you seeing the rotation from left to right or right to left? There's really only one right answer to that. So
What if I have a stationary one? Which the biggest one I ever saw that came in through here, which
Mhm.
no one picked up on until it hit Dublin. Okay?
yeah.
Had zero rotation,
Yeah.
straight line winds, 50 miles an hour, came right over us. Okay,
Uh-huh.
went to report it in. Everyone's like,
Yeah.
till it hit Dublin, and all of them, wow, there's a wall cloud. Yeah, we
Yeah.
know. Yeah. But seriously.
So the rotating ones are the ones that now, and yours may have rotated, but it may have been rotating very slowly.
Very slowly, but it looked
And
static.
when you see the training, if you go to the training that they're going to have up here, they have some that they've sped it up a little bit so you can see the rotation. So it's a whole lot easier to see, but it's just important to watch those things and see if a funnel cloud drops out of them. So. Structural damage from wind or tornadoes. That's that could be built. Walls falling down, tree limbs falling down. This severe wind gusts greater than 50 miles per hour. I don't know too many people that carry wind measuring instruments with them. There's some tips about how you tell, looking at trees, what the estimated wind speed is.
Right.
So. Trees. This is the healthy limbs thing that I talked about, and they want anything that's 3 inches or greater in diameter. They want to know about hail. They will not issue. They used to issue warnings on 1/2 inch hail, but that's been increased to 3/4 inch. So any hail 1/2 inch or larger, they want to know about because it tells them a lot about what's happening in the atmosphere. And of course, hail covering the ground. I've only seen that happen once myself, but I have seen pictures from this area where hail has covered the ground quite a bit. 1 or more inches of rain falling in 1 hour or less. So this has caused some problems last year, so we put a little training thing together. So if you have, I don't know if any of you guys have weather stations at home. Okay. When rain falls, you can record 2 or 3 inches of rainfall rate happening in 10 minutes, right? Well, that's 10 minutes. They want to know in 1 hour. So we've had people call in and say, I'm recording 4 inches of rainfall right now. Well, right now, if it lasted 4 inches for an hour, that would be great, but generally it doesn't. So they want to know in an hour's amount. So you have to wait for an hour. You know when it started. If you wait for the hour's time, you say, well, then your gauge will tell you what it measured in an hour's time, and that's what they really want to know. So we had to get that squared away. But other than that,
if I get 4 inches in 10 minutes, at the end of the hour, it's still 4 inches. Does that count?
no, it won't be 4 inches.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So it's going to be spread out.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, that's
Exactly. That's what happens. So basically, unusual flooding is what I like to tell people. Any place where it's flooded that it doesn't normally flood, they want to know about those things. Of course, cars and trailers carried away. That's obvious. Anytime water enters homes or businesses, roads that are closed or impassable due to high water, and of course water running across a roadway. You never want to drive through that stuff. You'll see some pictures where during the training where water's running across the road, and then when the water stops, you'll see what happened to the road. I mean, half the road's gone. So, any questions? I know we've kind of had some of those questions during the presentation. So here are some events that you won't want to miss if you're one of the weather geeky type people. Ohio State University has a severe weather symposium every year. I think this is like 22 or 3 or something year, but it's happening this coming Friday at 9 a.m. It's free, and it's in the Student Union in the U.S. Bank Conference Center. And then I think your spotter training class happens April 11th at 6:30, and is it going to be in this room?
yes.
Good. And then COSWN is sponsoring the advanced spotter class April 21st at 9 a.m. Registration is required. Here's the little guy to go register, and it's at the Siegel Center at Mount Carmel East Hospital on the east side of Franklin County, right off of the Outer Belt. It's a pretty interesting class because you get some of the behind the scene things that happen that you don't know about what's happening. You learn about the decisions they make. A weather event that happens during daylight hours If that same thing happened at night, you'd very likely get warnings posted because there are people can't see what's happening. So they adjust when they issue warnings based on whether it's dark or light out.
What are the durations of those classes? How
Wait.
long do they last?
Which one?
Well, both.
All three.
Both of them are pretty much the same. It's like a couple hours for the basic spotter class,
Yeah,
and
about
it's
2 hours.
It's about two hours plus for the advanced spotter class.
Okay, so if someone had no experience and did the basic class and then turned around basically 10 days later, would it be a good idea or a bad idea for them to try to go to the advanced class?
Yeah. In fact, we suggest that people come to the advanced class only if they've attended the basic class. So, but it wouldn't hurt if you came anyways, because they do a quick time compressed basic class right at the beginning. They'll take you through in about 15 minutes all the things that highlights from the basic class. It's not as good as actually going to the class, but it helps people remember those kind of things. Let's see, what else is here? Oh, so we put out ID cards for people. We can put pictures on them if you want your picture on there. We also have bumper stickers that we sell as well. These are highly reflective. We have the standard kind, which is just adhesive and you put it on your car, or we have, for cars that are metal,
The magnetic.
magnetic. We have magnetic ones as well. So it's got a piece of material on the back. They work really well. In fact, if you want to look at some of those, I got some of those up here to look at too. So. And then we also are part of Amazon Smile. Have you guys done that up here? So does anybody buy anything off of Amazon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Few things.
Okay.
I stopped there.
So you can actually go on Amazon, and anything you can buy on Amazon, you can buy through their Smile site. And you tell them who you want to support, and they take a small amount of, and it doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't change the price on anything.
Right. You're
And
basically an affiliate, yeah.
Yeah.
There are other sites I go there have affiliate programs, yeah.
Yeah. So Kroger does some of that, and some other places do as well.
If you
So,
buy through the Amazon app, it doesn't work. You have to go to Smile on Amazon.
yeah.
There are some sites that they have an affiliate link. You click on that to get to Amazon, and
Yeah.
then you shopping, and they all get credit for it. So
Yeah.
I assume it's something similar. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're putting, this is a new website we're putting up. There's stuff on here about spotter training. There's some interesting information about communication training, do's and don'ts, radio procedures, how we do, how we actually run a real net if there's severe weather. But there's other material that we haven't got on this site yet. This is pretty new site, and so there'll be information there if you want further information. I think there's a link on there that will take you to the training schedule that the Weather Service has for all the counties in Ohio.
COSWN.org.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Sure.
You wear lots of hats. You get them confused. For probably a cert number?
Who?
You
No.
didn't go through cert?
No.
Okay. But you're involved with severe weather net? Are you involved with other net?
I am the EC for Franklin County for
Okay.
ARRF. Yeah.
So There's fewer here in Union County, so we tend to wear more hats.
Exactly. So what's kind of nice with Aries is when severe weather comes through, COSWN kind of does that at the beginning. A lot of those people then also, when they're done with the COSWN part, they're Aries members, and so they move over to Aries and do whatever the emergency management folks need. So yeah, it can get confusing, like who. And we ask people to volunteer, and we have people that that just do weather, and that helps a lot. But I understand the issue there, yeah. Especially if you don't have a lot of people to do that.
So when the severe weather net comes up, that is COSWN.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's you guys
Mm-hmm.
structure as staffing that.
Right.
And then getting done.
Right.
And so not to sound like I'm belittling the service or anything, but I really enjoy it, not only for the accuracy of the weather, right, but that's how I got justified for the VX3R, because Valerie thought it was a nice small radio, and she thought it was wonderful how we had insight to what was really going on with the weather,
Yeah.
and not have to worry about the news. So
Yeah.
it worked well for both of us all the way around.
Yeah. And it's people like you that keep that accuracy up and provide that information. Most of the media outlets, at least in the Channel 10, 6, and 4, they listen to that as well during severe weather. And sometimes you can hear that in the background when they're talking about it. So.
Yeah, between that and browsing the internet for their news, I don't know what else they staff, but I
What is
if
you
if
say?
you're a
Okay.
fan, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
I would say people who don't have it, I've been spotting since the late 70s, early 80s. And nowadays, the weather radios with the same alert on it they're inexpensive and they're really good. I mean, if you have a tornado warning at 3 in the morning, you want to know about it.
The same radio is the
Exactly.
best thing to have. I mean, that is, everybody should have one of those
Well,
radios.
same as specific area message encoding, where you tell it, when I hear, because you may hear Cleveland and Cincinnati and more, you can say, these are the counties I'm interested in. So that you've probably heard all that little burst, sounds like a modem, even on TV and stuff. Encoded in there is like county information. So where I am here in Union County, we listen to Champaign, Logan, Franklin, some of the ones where we're expecting the weather to be coming from. So when you get something coming out of Cleveland, we just ignore it. It doesn't affect us.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, the original radio, I mean, they put out that tone and it didn't care about that. It just
right. And the thing is, when we first got ours, we didn't set the counties up just to see. We were getting Amber alerts out of Cleveland. So it's when you definitely want to go in and set up the counties. But it's we live out in the country, and when it's dark out there, it's dark. And if you got a tornado warning at 3 in the morning, you want to know about it.
Yeah, I've got that set up, but of course the rest of my wife's family does not, but when mine goes off, we start calling, get downstairs.
And it goes off loud enough to wake you from a dead sleep.
So what some counties have done, Franklin hasn't done this yet, but I want to say Delaware or Licking County has done this. You see these this is called a warning by polygon, and so what they program their sirens to do is and there's software out there that will paint all of these coordinates will come out in that message, and the siren will know where it's at, and it will sound if it's inside that. But then there's always that chance that it's going to miss somebody and somebody's going to get killed or whatever. But they paint these things pretty big, so I don't know that that'll really ever happen, but you never know.
So Ed, what are we going to do with this? Are we gonna start some sort of a weather net? I'm trying to figure out between the club and then the EMA folks. Many of these folks are also volunteers with our EMA. What do we do next?
On the training on the 11th, are they going to get into the Twitter part for the people that are not non-amateurs that are training the spotter training?
Up here?
Yeah.
The only thing that I believe they'll talk about is the information that goes to the Weather Service office.
Right.
Twitter account that goes to the Weather Service
Okay.
office. That's what they'll talk about. Again, it all depends on how much warning they have and how much staffing they have, how much attention they pay to that Twitter feed. Okay? So they may see something there that reports tree down or a road blocked or building damage. They may not get to it and look at it until after the event is gone and over with. And then they may try to call the person up, get a hold of them, and find out more details about it so they can actually establish a storm report from whatever that incident was. So, but they'll only talk about getting information back to the Weather Service office.
So if you had, I know some of the EMA volunteers are not hams,
Mm-hmm.
and if they're interested in participating in weather spotting, then it'd probably be best to see if they could get set up with Twitter.
Yes.
And then they'd be able to report stuff.
Right. I mean, it's, I worked almost 30 years at the telephone company, and their copper lines are like hardly any are used. Everybody's got these phones now, so yeah, if they get trained, why not share what they see with the Weather Service? Yeah.
You know, when I started doing this back in the late 70s, early 80s, it was all hams. But
Right.
now we got cell phones and internet with Facebook and stuff. They're bringing, even if you listen to National NOAA weather, every once in a while they'll talk about reporting things via social media.
Right.
So,
So, yeah, go ahead with your.
So to Rob's point, for us to take the next step, to make sure as a baseline people have the training,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what technology they've got.
Right.
If they get the training, then at least as individuals, maybe not yet as a coordinated group, at least as individuals, they can then be a data point
Right.
through Twitter, through amateur radio, through the phone number if it's not
Right.
clogged.
Right.
And so as an uncoordinated group from the area, you can start getting that
Right.
information in.
yes.
But the benefit of it coming under a group like maybe the EMA is that we can sustain that and practice and do things to raise that baseline.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to understand what the crawl, walk, run
No,
approach
what-
is to bringing us up to speed.
Right.
Now you have a test net, right? Didn't you say?
Yeah, on Tuesdays.
What time on the 7.6 machine?
On the 7.6 machine at 7:30.
So everybody just tuned in and listened even.
Right.
They'd get an idea of,
And
of
so
what it takes.
we take
yeah.
check-ins, and if your signal is scratchy or noisy, we'll let you know,
Okay. That's,
so that you can either do whatever to make the signal better. In some cases, you may not be able to. But a marginal signal, if it's nice out, we're not going to hear a marginal signal because of rain. Rain will just wipe out some of that signal. So that's why we do the readiness then. And then we do training as well during that time. We'll talk about mobile radios and antennas and what you should be using. We'll definitely tell people you don't use an HT in your car. You cannot.
Yeah.
Unless the repeater is real close by, we're not going to hear you, or we're going to have to ask you 10 times the same information.
Right, saving
So.
traffic.
Yeah. So, and that's the risk you pay when you have HTs available for $30 or $29, right? It's
Well, they make good weather radios.
they do. You're absolutely right.
They're fair.
Especially if they have that same technology on them, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely great radios.
Well, this is $23 radio. Right here, I can't get no weather out of now, if I step outside, I can, but in
Yeah.
here, I can't get no weather out of Columbus.
Yeah.
But I just tried.
There's actually, ICOM actually has a radio that looks, it's maybe a little larger than this. It's got an antenna on it, but it'll accept all the paging codes that we put out. I don't think I have it with me. I don't. It'll accept all the paging codes that 7.6 puts out when there's a net going on, and it will activate on that. So it's kind of a nice radio to have, and it's on eBay for like, I want to say $50 or $60. These Motorola guys cost a few $100s. So
No, I know. Last time I met with you, we're over in Gahanna, and inquired about if we get to a point where we have enough people interested to do our own weather net on a Marysville repeater. We would need to have a net control station and a net liaison back to the net on the 7.6 machine.
Right. So it all depends on the person who's doing net control. Sometimes it gets confusing running the net in your county and then also doing the liaison back to us. But if you have a couple people that can do that, and they don't necessarily need to be in the same room, they can be at different places, different locations. Just the person that's doing liaison he'll just be monitoring your main net up here, and then anything that we need to hear about, he'll come over to 7.6 and say, hey, we just got this report.
In reality, out here, at times, get hit in the 7.6 machine. I mean, we can all hear it. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A great footprint.
Yes.
But in reality, occasionally, it's just difficult to get back into Columbus.
Exactly.
That point is really the only reason I can see where you want to liaison something out, because there are times that you just cannot get the information out of here.
Right.
I cross band repeat, I'm fine as long as I'm within my footprint.
Right.
I know there's difficulty, particularly if you're on the road, sometimes being able to hit the 7.6.
Right.
So
Exactly.
at that point, then, yeah, we could talk about,
Yeah.
perhaps a liaison, have our own group, be able to relay it out that way.
Yeah.
But it can't get sketchy out there.
Right.
So do you activate groups in other counties?
No, we do not. We put out that information. The Weather Service gives us the warnings, the watches. We put that information out, and we hope that people are listening in those other counties. We know that Licking County does, because they'll check. If we bring up a net, they'll check in with us pretty quickly. So, but no, we don't. We don't.
So just so I'm really clear, if we were to spin up a net here, we need to talk to you, you need to talk to them.
Right.
Okay.
And so if a warning, if we put a warning out in Union County, for instance, we'd put that out, and then we would expect somebody there to acknowledge that they received the warning and that kind of thing. Just to tell us that that's one way we would know that you're there. Or if you're going to shut your net down, let us know that as well, so that if anything else comes in, we could take care of that traffic as well. So.
Okay.
But it is it is something, it takes some time to get the expertise in there to do all the things that need to happen, so.
So how many are in your Franklin County?
So our core of net control operators is 10 to 12 right now. We just got another fire dispatcher a couple of weeks ago from the MEC Center. So they have like 5 or 6 amateur radio operators in there. They had a couple of amateur radio operators that then got recruited some other folks several years ago, and now they're up to 5 or 6 amateur radio operators. And since we meet there, the other people that aren't licensed, they're very much interested in getting licensed. So
We know our technician class being held, right?
Before you leave, more about the Rare Spider Quest.
Thank you.
Sure. And if there's anything, we have documentation that we actually have a sort of a training course for net control folks, and probably 15 or 20% is reading. We have people. Part of that is we'll have them put together a training topic on something that's related to weather. That then they would take one of our Tuesday nets, and actually that would be the training for that net. That helps them understand storms and things like that. And but probably 85% of training is on the job. So we like those folks. When there's a weather net going on, we want those people to be there. And depending on how the net is and what kind of storms it is, we'll put them in and let them run the net for 10 or 15, 20 minutes so they get some experience. So, but it's all part, and for those people, sometimes it takes them a whole year. It's all at their availability. If they can come every time there's a weather event, that's great. They'll earn their wings a lot sooner. But if they've got work or something else to do, then it's gonna take them a little longer before they're qualified to be a net control operator. So, I mean, we want people who aren't rattled, who talk in normal, no matter what's going on. It's like a fire dispatcher, a police dispatcher. You don't know that whether it's, depending on the situation, they're cool, calm, and collected. So those are the kind of people that we want. And if you do it enough, tornado warning isn't any different than a severe thunderstorm warning. You just control the net a little closer, a little tighter, because you want to know about funnel cloud reports and wall cloud reports and those kind of things. So we wouldn't accept rainfall reports at all if there's a tornado warning out. That's the kind of thing that you would do. So.
Great.
So I appreciated your pizza and your drinks, and the meeting was really great. It really was. It's all the same stuff everybody is talking about.
We appreciate you coming out
Yeah,
tonight.
yeah.
Sir,
I don't know where the cup was, right in the
Is this for the?
pizza, yeah. I don't know where the cup was.